Hey horror fans, thanks for joining me for this review of Smoke and Mirrors, the Tom Savini story. Cast and crew information down below, although uh, this is a documentary, so it's not really a whole bunch besides just the people that interviewed and so forth, and obviously Tom. Um, but quick IMDb plot here. Again, it is what it is, a documentary about the life of Tom Savini. The film covers his early days in Pittsburgh and his rise to stardom as Hollywood's most sought after special effects wizard. Um, I'm a documentary, so it's kind of hard, overall to give a review. Or I always find it hard to give a review to a documentary. I mean, unless they totally fumble the ball as far as um, telling you anything that's important or so forth of whoever the subject matter is. Um, Again, it is what it is. It's covering Tom Savini. Interesting that um, he's very visible in this. He's very much a part of this documentary. Um, there's scenes of him, walking down some of the streets in Pittsburgh and where he's from, and kind of um, showing you around as he talks a little bit about his life. He's going to talk about different stages of his life, and how he got from one place to the other. Um, I'm not going to say I'm an expert on Tom Savini. Obviously, I'm being a horror fan. I know who he is and some of the work and that he's contributed to. But I'm not going to say that I was well rounded on his entire career and so forth. So I found it, interesting to learn some other things about him. I know I've seen him act in certain things, but I didn't know he acted in some other things. So it was kind of interesting to see that. Interesting to see that he did some live like theater acting. That he did do that. Um, Obviously I've seen him in like Dust from Dawn and Dust Till Dawn, and some of the other things. So you see him that way, but then to know that he did also some other work that was kind of interesting. Um, it's interesting to see how kind of well rounded he is. Because when I looked at him, I kind of see him. Okay, I've seen him in the movies do this, and I know he's done all these special effects. Um, but to see that he's done other things, he's dabbled his hand in directing and so forth as well. To kind of see all the pieces come together and kind of how he ended up, um, where he is and how he ended up doing all these things. It was kind of interesting. So I think if you're a big fan of his, and maybe don't know, well, if you're a big fan of his, maybe you probably know a lot about his history more than I did. You might know some of the stuff, but you may find some stuff new. I think at certain points he gets very personal here. He talks a little bit about his family, some of the relationships he's had. He talks about his time in war. I didn't know he went to Vietnam. That obviously played a part in his life. He talks a little bit about that. He tells a very interesting story about him uh, being out in the trenches at one time, and I'm not going to spoil it. If you guys want to hear the story, hear from him in this movie, in this documentary. But he tells a very interesting story about how he, was on guard one night, and certain events happened, and how different things shape out, and how maybe the horror world maybe never would have seen Tom Savini. It could have been that kind of thing. Um, but a very interesting story there. A little bit of funny stories, a little bit of a sad story, but very interesting as well. Um, to how that played out. So how close the horror world came to maybe not having a Tom Savini, and all the great things that he's done after and contributed to the genre and to horror fans. Um, so yeah, you're gonna get some of the personal side of him. He's gonna talk about some of the relationships he's had, with his girlfriends and wives and so forth. You get to see him with his daughter. His daughter plays a role in it. Um, uh, Was his daughter or his son? I forget. Um, but you're going to see um, part of a little bit of his relationship with his family as well. So you're going to get obviously the horror side you want to see, and how that came to be, but you're also going to see the other side of Tom, and with his family, and then some of the events of his life that played a key in kind of getting him to where he is. And you're going to see him, when he talks about in getting enrolled in a certain school, which kind of eventually led to some of the theater work, and then some of the special effects that he eventually did. Obviously, he's going to talk about his special effects some in there. You're going to hear some interviews of some of the people that obviously have been affected by him and his work. One that stands out as a great Nigger's hero. You see him in there a lot, but a lot of other faces as well. And kind of talk about some of the stuff and techniques that Tom does, and how again, learning Tom's background, you learn a little bit about how that kind of played into how he did his special effects. And I'll let you guys all watch that, and whether if you don't know it, learn it, and then the documentary. I'm not gonna throw that out there. You can watch that and kind of see, but to his credit, to see everything he does, and to see where he came from, and kind of his thought process in doing that. It's called Smoke and Mirrors, which is interesting because he does talk about magic in it, and there's a little bit of magic in his makeup work, and magic plays a role in it. That's a piece of it, and then, like I said, there's a little bit of some of the other stuff there that I'm not going to discuss. That's discussed here in the documentary. But you're gonna kind of see him, and then you're gonna kind of see him. He talked through some of the work he did, and then how that maybe kind of affected some of the other stuff he did as things go on. So it's just interesting stuff. So I think if you're a fan of him, definitely worth a watch, and maybe you'll learn something new. Again, you hear a lot from him as well as from other people. One of the things that got me right off the bat is Doug Bradley opens it with a short little introduction to Tom and the documentary, and if I was ever so lucky to have a introduction to a documentary, or even be important enough to have a documentary, or even anybody give a speech on my behalf of introducing me, Doug Bradley would be a great choice for that. Long live Doug and long live myself. Hopefully, we'll live long enough to even think about that happening. But yeah, it is pretty awesome to have someone well spoken, and the way Doug can speak and present stuff. Kind of open and set the stage here for this. So that was pretty neat right off the bat. So yeah, as far as grading this, or rating of scale, I'll give it 3 pools of blood. It is a documentary, and obviously since you're hearing a lot from him, you're getting it from the source. So what is you can't really go wrong there. So again, if you're a big fan of his, or maybe I wouldn't say if you're kind of want to learn a whole bunch of tricks of his or whatever. I don't think that this really covers that. Like I said, there is a mention of some of the things that kind of goes into his work, but I don't think it's a big, huge trick of the trade kind of thing. If you're kind of looking for the main secret ingredient here of him giving it away, maybe a little bit, but I don't know. If you're looking for for something where he's going in super detail about him, about his makeup effects or something like that, this is not it. I don't know if there's any other documentaries out there about him, but that's not certainly the case here. It's more of a life story, a life journey, with a sprinkle in of stuff that you'll be familiar with, either roles you've seen him or some of the special effects stuff he's done. So yeah, Three Pools of Blood. Not much else to say about that, and hope you guys enjoyed. If you do check it out. So with that, horrorreviews.blogspot.com, where you can find more reviews, more video reviews. The video reviews are there as well, but there's also written reviews. Twitter, Facebook information down below. And if you want to reach out to me, talk about this movie, other movies, need me to review something, you can reach out to me there as well, no problem. Or just want to talk horror, beautiful, we can do that. And yeah, if you're just looking for the videos, subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe. Like or dislike, that's fine as well. No worries, I'm not worried. Yeah, with that, I guess I will catch you on the next review, horror fans.